Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, my friends, we are diving back into the world of Black Ops Cold War, and we're taking a look at the best setups here in Season 3. This includes some of the best weapons you want to be using in general, and then also some of the best pro setups to be using because this video is actually sponsored by the CDL. If you didn't know, Major 3 is coming up here in just a few days' time, and it seems like every single time we get a new home series, every single time we get a new major, the competition just gets better and better and better. Every series, the competition just heats up more and more. It's an absolute blast to watch. You can end up learning quite a few things based off of how the pros play, what weapons they're using, how they're navigating the map, rotations, all sorts of stuff like that. And on top of that, you can also earn some free rewards for tuning into all the CDL action over on the CDL YouTube channel, which will be linked down in the description below. So if you want to learn more about Major 3 or just the CDL 2021 season in general, check out the link at the very top of the description below. And once again, huge thank you to the Call of Duty League for sponsoring today's video. So when it comes to the setups, as you're going to see throughout the video, things honestly vary quite a bit between normal go-to setups that people like you and me would use to go for, a nuke or a high kill streak in regular matches, and then the setups that the CDL players go to, primarily because they're playing under a completely different set of rules with different restrictions, but also because they're looking for the absolute best of the best when it comes to the weapons and the attachments they're using. So while the meta for the most part here in Season 3 for standard multiplayer is, I would say, pretty open, it's not necessarily the same case over in the CDL. So the first class I want to break down today is based around the AK-47. This has been one of the better weapons since the launch of Cold War, honestly. It really hasn't changed all that much since launch, but it has remained as one of the best rifles in the game, mainly because it kind of has it all, you know? When it comes to power, the AK-47 is one of the stronger rifles we have available, so its damage in and of itself is a huge pro. You can get shot first, and if your reactions are fast enough, you can easily come back and win that gunfight. If you get the first shot off, chances are you're probably winning that fight. The power is almost unbeatable, I'd say. It also has pretty good control, surprisingly. Usually in Call of Duty multiplayer, the AK-47s that we see really aren't super great when it comes to recoil. Normally they're kind of all over the place, but here in Cold War multiplayer, the AK-47 is extremely easy to use. Its recoil is almost non-existent when you have the right setup equipped, so it's very easy to stay on target and it's incredibly strong. That to me is a win-win. The only real drawback here is the mediocre mobility, I would say, but you can always switch to your secondary, and in that case here I am using the Diamatti. But as we look at the other setups in this video, you could totally swap out any of the secondaries on any of the classes today and you're going to be just fine. But the Diamatti is actually the pistol of choice for the pros, so if you want to go with what works really well for them, the Diamatti is a great all-around secondary option. So when it comes to the AK-47 attachments, here I'm running the VDV reinforced barrel for better range and velocity. This is basically just making the AK-47 more effective in even more engagements. I've also got the Spetsnaz grip on there for better vertical and horizontal control. It's going to make it even easier to stay on target. You'll love to see it. I've also got the 40 round speed mag. This one is honestly just preference. I like having that larger mag and that faster reload. This is what you could say is the best of both worlds, really. Then I'm rocking the Grau elastic wrap for better mobility and better flinch resistance. Then finally, I've got the skeletal stock for better mobility as well. Then on the Diamatti, I'm running the infantry compensator for better control, the task force barrel for better range and damage, and that's a huge bonus to have, I'd say. I've also got the 5mm laser on there for better hip fire accuracy, the 30 round fast mag, and then finally the dual wield attachment because 2 is way better than 1 when it comes to close range fights with pistols. Then for my perks and equipment, this is the same on all of my pubs classes, so we're just going to go over these once here. But I should note, this is pretty different from what you're going to see on pro setups, so just keep that in mind. But here I've got the stim shot so I can manually heal. I've got the Semtex and then also the field mic sort of as a mini UAV, you could say. Then I'm using perk greed with flak jacket, tac mask, scavenger, quartermaster, gung ho, and ghost, which I feel like gives me plenty to work with. Then it just gives me several advantages in certain gunfights and other engagements. Now, next up, we've got a direct comparison between pubs and pros because this class is based around the Krig, which is currently the assault rifle of choice for pro players. We have seen some other ones cycled in and out throughout the season so far, but currently the Krig is king and with good reason. This thing is laser accurate. The recoil is super easy to control. Its mobility is definitely convenient for an assault rifle and its damage is very solid as well. So you're pretty much looking at average or better in every single stat category here. Very consistent across all ranges, and honestly, it can be used across all ranges effectively. Medium range is definitely where it's going to, thrive the most, I would say. The long range can work out if you're able to track your enemies well, and close range it's got the power to beat out some other close quarters options sometimes, so it's definitely a very solid choice. Now for pubs, I am pairing this with something like a street sweeper, but for a CDL setup, they'd be using the Diamati every single time with all of their weapons. Obviously, sort of night and day when it comes to the secondary. So for the Krig setup, I'm running the Microflex LED because personally, I'm just not a huge fan of the iron sights. Then I've got the Ranger barrel for, well, you guessed it, better range, alongside the Field Agent grip for better control all around, the Airborne Elastic Wrap for better mobility, and then finally the Raider stock for better mobility as well. As for the Street Sweeper, I've got the Infantry V-Choke muzzle, the Reinforced Heavy barrel for better range and a better fire rate, the 5mW laser since we're hip firing quite a bit here, the 18-round mag so I can avoid reloading at all costs, and then finally the Marathon stock for better mobility. Now, like I said, that is all for pubs. The pro setup here is pretty different. For one, they're running Gunfighter for more attachments on the Krig, and so in turn they're using the Microflex LED, the Infantry Compensator for better control, the Ranger barrel, same deal as in pubs there. Then they usually have the Field Agent grip, the 40-round mag, the Airborne Elastic Wrap, and the Raider stock. So really, they're getting the most efficiency out of the Krig with 7 attachments on it. Then, like I said, they'd usually be running the Diamati, and there they're using the muzzle brake, the chrome-lined barrel, the 24-round mag, and then also the Airborne Elastic Wrap. And even their perks and equipment are a bit different. They'll run various nades depending on what mode they're playing or what position they fill on a team, alongside a Semtex or a frag, and then usually a trophy system. Normally for their perks, they've got Tac Mask, Scavenger, then also Ninja. Moving on, the next class we're looking at is all about the XM4, which actually used to be the go-to rifle for the pros until they switched over to the Krig. So I would say the XM4 definitely has the credibility when it comes to being one of the best weapons in the game. I mean, it's got great damage and range and control as well, just like the other rifles that we've looked at. Its mobility, I would say, is average, nothing crazy, but it's also not like detrimentally bad. So you're getting a very powerful and very accurate rifle here. Definitely a very fun one to use. And I mean, it's an M4. Most M4s that we have in multiplayer are pretty solid as is. And for this class, I paired it with the Gallo since that's another great option for pubs alongside the Street Sweeper. You've got that closer range locked down, while the XM4 is perfect for those more medium and longer range fights where it's really going to excel the most. So on the XM4, I've got the Microflex LED again, same deal as with the Krig. I'm just not a fan of the iron sights. Then I've got the Ranger barrel for all the same reasons as before, the Field Agent grip once more, the Airborne Elastic Wrap, and finally the Raider stock to round things out. Then on the Gallo, it's almost a direct copy of the Street Sweeper setup. We're going with the V-Choke muzzle, the Reinforced Heavy barrel, the 5mW laser, the 9-round tube, and then finally the Marathon stock. Now, the final class today is another direct comparison to the pro setups because this one is based around the AK-74U, which of course is the SMG of choice for the pros. If they're not using the Krig, they're using the AK-74U, it seems. And again, they know what they're doing. It's got really good mobility since obviously it is an SMG. It's got great damage up close, and because you are predominantly fighting up close with it, the recoil really isn't too much of a problem either. So you've got a very all-around SMG that's extremely competitive. You can toss whatever secondary you want on with this thing. Shotgun, Diamati, you name it, it's going to work out pretty well. So for the attachments, I've got the Compensator for better control, the Task Force barrel for better damage, the Spetsnaz grip for better control, the 40-round speed mag, and then finally the Grau Elastic Wrap once more. Whereas, if you look at a pro setup, things are again pretty different here. They've got the Spetsnaz Compensator, but they're also using the extended barrel pretty often for better velocity, the speed grip or the Spetsnaz grip, some kind of go back and forth with that. They've also got the Grau Elastic Wrap, and then finally the skeletal stock. So for the most part, we're actually using pretty similar weapons between public matches and pro matches when it comes to the best of the best. Really, the differences come down to the attachments and the perks and whatnot because they're playing, like I said, on a different rule set and honestly on a different level. They need certain things to be really, really good in very specific situations. Whereas in pubs, you definitely want a class setup that's a bit more versatile and open to fighting in multiple different kinds of engagements. But yeah, there you have it. With all of that being said, those are some of the best setups to be using here in Season 3 of Cold War, and that's going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in COD, whether it be news, intel, updates, setups, you name it, it's all right here. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know whenever I post a new video. Once again, huge thank you to the CDL for sponsoring today's video. If you want to learn more about Major 3 or the rest of the CDL 2021 season, be sure to check out the link down in the description below. But anyways, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.